My name is Sean Jackson. We're talking about incident response, the incident response process, plan, what have you, however you want to say that. And I really do think it's not if, but when, so what should you do now? Because if you are hacked, if data is leaked, if malware is running rampant through your environment, you probably have agreements in place with your customers somewhere on some level that says you handle incidents responsibly. And you have a process, and you generate artifacts. And if you say that, and you don't do that, you're liable. And you can be sued. Your organization can be sued. So find out what is in your sales orders and your DPAs and what it says you do. Like if it says you notify customers within 48 hours if there's been a breach of their data, and you don't, and they find out, they can sue you because it's in a contract. You guys agreed to it. So you got to know what is in your contracts about incidents. You've got to prepare and know what to do. Okay. I am Sean Jackson. Right now, I am the Director of Information Security at SPIF. We're based in Sandy, but we're actually kind of global. And let's go back to the thing where I freaked out because they're distributed. On Twitter, my handle is Tarkus. If you're in information security and not on Twitter, get on Twitter. Twitter's where information security happens and where news happens before anywhere else. And I am a giver of free hugs. For most of my life, I have unwittingly celebrated my own white privilege and my own male privilege, and I recognize that now. And if you're whatever color you are, or whatever gender you are, or feel you are, I don't care. I'll give you a hug because I bet you haven't been hugged enough. All right. Okay, we're going to look at a huge priority 1 incident. But I feel like every time I've given this talk, it's really boring. It could be me, it could be the content. I'm not sure. It could be both. So I wanted to switch it up, and we're going to go in reverse. I'm going to show you how this huge priority 1 incident went so well. And then we'll talk about what we had to do in the beginning to get there. So that's the tenet thing. We're going to go backwards so we can go forwards. Okay, let's start. It's all done. Well, good job. You did a great job of managing that incident. It took months, and now you got a vacation. And it's a misnomer. We don't get vacations. So, sorry to distract you there. And you didn't get a raise. Post-incident. The incident is over, so we have a post-mortem meeting. We do not point fingers at anyone in the post-mortem meeting. This is not the time to say, we got hacked because that guy. You got hacked because something wasn't working in your security posture. Something wasn't working in your controls. Something wasn't working in policy adhesion. The policy didn't have enough teeth. So maybe, yeah, that guy, he violated a policy, he's going to be fired. But you didn't get hacked because of him, you got hacked because the policy didn't have enough teeth to stop him. Something like that. It's not the people's fault, it's your security posture's fault. In the post-mortem meeting, you're talking about the metrics. You talked about how long it took to discover there was an incident, how long it took to make the team mobilized, how long it took to get to where you restored stuff. How many people, the hours they were spending, you're getting metrics on everything. Because you don't want incidents to happen, but when they do, you want to get better. Again, going to your promotions and your raises, you want to get better at these things because this is the Achilles heel to any organization. If they get hacked, they could go down. So you want to get good at this. Protect that Achilles heel. Recovery. Before we had the post-mortem, we restored all the machines. We brought them to the machines and we said, this is the way you want it, right? This is the way it's supposed to be. Okay, we're ready to go. Okay, let's plug it in. Let's turn it on. It's yours. When you restore, you've got to work with the device owner or the system owner. And they need to sign off that it's all good, that it's back where it should be. You can't just stand it up and go, whew, Saturday night, okay, finally we can go home. So you turn it in, you stand it up, you plug it in, turn it on, and they come back and they say, where's the database? And you say, oh, well, yeah, we re-imaged the machine. Okay, well, we can get the database. Well, I'm up. I'm live now because you plugged it in and turned it on, and there's no database. I've got a weekend full of customers complaining. What are you doing to me? You don't do that. You say, we think we're ready. Could you please run your tests and check to make sure this machine is working just the way you want it? Because we can tell it's free of malware or whatever. We know what it was. We checked. It was infected. It's not anymore. Can you please check it? You like it? Good. We're done. Now, the management part of incident management. When you're in the thick of it, when you're in the incident, you're having daily meetings. You're going to repeat ad nauseum. Every day you're having a meeting. Well, what's happening in that meeting? This is the daily schedule that I recommend that I follow when I'm in an incident. 9 a.m., and sorry, I try not to have a lot of text on my slides, but here we go. 9 a.m., you have an informal update of everything that happened since you last met, which was yesterday afternoon, or overnight, because sometimes you have to work overnight. That's going to be an email. It's not an in-person meeting, it's not a Zoom meeting, it's an email. 11 o'clock, coordinator sit-up, or sync-up. That is incident coordinator, technical coordinator, and supporting coordinator. Those are 3 individuals if you have them in your staff. If you don't have the staff to have those 3 leadership positions, you are all 3. I'm sorry. I have been all 3. If you have the staff, then you have the sync up at 11 o'clock, and they talk about what happened, what needs to happen today, what the long term, what the short term. They have all those discussions. They talk about, is there anything we need to decide? They don't make decisions. The coordinator, the head incident management person, they make the decisions. It's not the C-level. The C-level is going to be in those meetings, but they're not making the decisions. They can advise, but the incident coordinators make the decisions. So if there's decisions that need to be made, they're going to have a call with everyone who is making the decision, and they're going to put this on a slide deck, what the decision is. They're going to have inputs due at 3:30. The statuses are due at 4 from supporting technical coordinators. That is not decisions, that is status updates. And then at 4:30, you have the status report and, if needed, the decision briefs to the incident commander. What are those slides? What are those decisions, incidents? This is what a brief would look like if you're having a malware outbreak. Updates. All the new things are in red. Everything old is in black. So your eye can easily see what is new. By the way, I have a copy of the slide decks for Malware Outbreak and for decision briefs on SCED, or SHED, the schedule thing where all of our schedules are. I put the slide decks there along with my slide deck, because there's like emails you might want to copy of when you send out the notices it's happening. So this is a brief. This is a status update. This is what you see at 4:30. Updates, malware response assignments in red. Black, vulnerability threat consequence updates, previously assigned tasking assumptions, next steps and efforts, incident commander's input, next status brief, and execute. I colored this Tuesday night, so this is not real. This is not from an incident. But new things are red, old things are black. You want to be brief. You do not want people to have to read these things. When you're in it, if you're presenting, do not read them. The best Status brief is when someone looks at this and goes, all right, next slide. Okay, next slide. All right, next slide. Everyone have a good day. That's the best status brief meeting you can have. So that data should be terse, brief, informative. It's just an update of what we're doing. Or if it's a decision, you're going to say who the decision maker is, what we're trying to solve, why we need to make the decision, what would happen if we didn't make the decision, and who is the decision coordinator. Then you have on another slide the recommendation, action to be taken, what you know, what you're assuming, what are the pros of making that decision, the cons of not making the decision, and what would happen if you're going to make the decision. So every day during the incident, you have that meeting with that slide deck where everyone who's involved, as wants to be, can go and just see what's happening. This is not confidential to the organization. If you're working on the team, you should know these things. You should see it, and you should not raise questions in it. You raise questions out of it, and you have things to talk about in the morning or the next day. So that's the daily schedule. 9 a.m. email, coordinator sync up, decision conference call, inputs due for decisions, inputs for status report, the meeting at 4:30. Every day, every day. This is how you repeat it, and this is how you make sure that action is happening. If it's not happening, it'll show up within 24 hours in this meeting. This is how you get everything moving all the time. You're working towards that remediation and restoration of machines being put back online so you can have your vacation after your post-mortem meeting. Okay. This is the daily schedule. There's a daily meeting at 4:30. There's a daily email at 9. The email at 9 is talking about what happened last night, what's going to happen today, and at 4:30 you talk about what's happened today and what's going to happen tonight, and what decisions need to be made. That make sense? Any questions? No question. Was that a question? Not a question. What's the hard part? This is everything else that you have to do. This is the containment, the eradication, and the recovery. And I'll show you a picture at the very end about how containment, eradication, recovery all point back to the one before it, and they all point back to identification. You could be in an incident, you've identified the incident, and you know what machine is doing it. And so you start to contain it, and you start to eradicate, you start looking at how did they get in, and then you see, oh, I've got 20 machines that have the same problem. You're back to discover. So now you're going to go back to discover and try to contain those 20. And then while that's happening, now you see something else is happening that wasn't the same as those 20 because they pivoted and they got somewhere else. And you're playing whack-a-mole, but you keep going back to discover. Once you're in discover, you go to containment, eradication, and recovery. Your primary efforts are on containment. If you know it's there, contain it. Stop it from spreading. Stop it from getting further into the kernel. Stop it from getting elevated access. It, them, whatever. Stop it from getting worse. Contain it. And when you find out there's more things, contain it. Your primary focus is containment. Stop it from spreading. Eradication, that can be difficult. Don't be afraid to re-image. If you know what it is, you know how it got in there, and you're able to contain it, you might just want to re-image and get it back up online, because when it's down, you're not making money. And I know we all like our jobs. You don't have a job if your company's not making money. And if it's stopped because of malware or a data breach, you're not making money. You're looking at a dead end. Get it back online as soon as you can. There are so many talks you can attend. You can get SANS training on those things. Containment, eradication, recovery. I recommend you do. Incident declaration. Now we're back to the point where we know we have an incident. It is a big one. It's nasty. It's priority one, so everyone on the incident response call list has been called. So, yes, it is really happening. This is the email that I send out when I know we have an incident. I will say it's a priority 1 or priority 2. I'm saying you are being notified that a data compromise has occurred, and our resources will be required to support this incident. That is my email that says, everyone that has an incident response hat on your desk, put it on. We're going. I have a summary of it. The justification for priority 1 as opposed to priority 2. Technical impact, the business impact. If you can't tell what the technical impact is, you have a lot of homework. If you don't know what the business impact is, you have a lot of homework. When you know the technical impact and the business impact, every time you have a conversation with someone in the company, they feel more comfortable having you there because you know why security matters to the organization. A little side tangent. There is a university a stone's throw from here that I understand, if you get your computer science degree, they're going to encourage you to turn around and get your master's degree in cybersecurity, because when you get that shiny diploma and you move the tassel from one side to the other, you'll get a job for $80K. I'm sorry, you're not. You've been trained, but you have no experience. You're not worth $80K. I'm sorry, they're lying to you, and I think they're just trying to get people to go to their master's program. You need to have experience working in the organization, talking with process owners and marketing people and engineering and implementation and support and legal and finance and C-levels. You need to know how the organization makes money, what assets marketing thinks is most important. It might not be the same ones you think are important. Since they do the marketing that brings in the money, which one is more important? It's the one they value. At my last job, I got in with a young security guy who was there before me, and he had a list of all the risks. And I have a risk registry that I use anywhere I go that has it's a 5x5 registry. And the likelihood of something happening, I'm sorry, we're way off of incident, we're in the homework. It is never going to happen in our environment. It could happen one day in our environment. It might be happening in our environment. It probably is happening in our environment, or I know it's happening in our environment. Those are the likelihood factors for my 5x5, and the other 5 is this has no effect on our customers or the company. This has a slight effect. We might have to apologize to less than 10 customers, and we might have a slight financial hiccup, but it's nothing to write home about. We've got to contact a lot of customers and maybe some vendors and maybe some individual users, and this is going to take us 6 months to recover financially. We've got public marketing statements we need to say to the world. We're contacting the news. We might have to talk to the SEC. We are in serious financial trouble. It might take a year or 2 to recover financially. And the worst is we are out of business, or everyone, if there's a customer, has been exposed and is suing us. So those are the 5 of how bad it would be, and there's my 5 of how likely it is. And this guy had this risk registry, and he said, look at these risks. I can't get them to do anything. They are critical. And I said, how do they affect the company? And he said, well, they don't. And I said, yeah, the CVSS score is 10. It's terrible. We have so many factors in place to mitigate this. How could it affect the organization? He says, it couldn't. I'm like, right. So that puts it in the top corner. Stop sending the tickets. Stop loading. He's like, but it's insecure. I said, I know. It's not an issue. It's not hurting the company. You will get no traction from anyone to fix that because it doesn't affect the company. You just look like the squeaky wheel. So stop being the squeaky wheel. Don't tell them to chase something that has no value. Find out what's of value to them, secure those, and they'll be happy to fix those things. So, technical impact, business impact, you need to know these things. Coordination conference call to be held at, this is, question. Whoever knows what they're doing most. I'm sending this email. You guys are sending this email, unless there's someone who has more experience with incident response than you do. If you have the most incident response experience, take a look at my slide deck on the schedule page, because this email is in that slide deck, so you can copy this out if you want. Yes. Yes. The next slide will show you who gets the email. So the coordination conference call is going to be held at, it's probably going to be in the next half hour or something, or if you know leadership is on vacation or out of the office, make it tomorrow. Doesn't mean don't start working on it. Send the email and start working on it. The date and the time, it's been announced, the call number, the passcode, the incident coordinator, person of contact, the approving manager person of contact, and then refer to the following items or for additional information. You attach to this email the first email you sent, the incident response plan, and any documents that are related to it you have in your share. They're password protected. Reply back to this email if you want access to it. Who gets that email? The CISO, the COO, the CTO, the VP or the manager of security operations staff, the computer incident response lead, legal, forensics, compliance, VP or manager of IT operations, IT staff, treasury and cash management, public affairs, the computer incident response triage SWAT team, investor relations, disaster recovery, and up to you, corporate accounting, if you're SOX beholden, marketing and human resources, you might CC them. Now, for everyone in this room, maybe you don't have the CISO. Maybe you don't have a VP or a manager of security operations. Maybe you're just one of the staff. Maybe you don't have a SERP lead. I'm sorry, but you're probably going to become the SERP lead because you're here. Congratulations, and I'm sorry. If you don't have those things, if all those hats have to go on your head, wear them. Don't complain, just wear them. And fill the need as best you can. Be honest about your limitations. Be honest about your experience. Be honest that the only training you have was a talk at SAINTCON. Be honest. And try to wear those hats. But this is who gets that email. This is also the same group that gets the first email, which we'll talk about in just a second. Remember, this is the email that says, yes, we're having an incident. When you have the incident, you might have to release public-facing documents. There should be a draft, approval, and release process. Drafting and approval should come from you, from marketing, from C-levels, from legal, from public relations, from developers, from anyone who's working on the incident or is being activated and they know something. The only people who can talk about it are public relations. That might be marketing if you don't have marketing and public relations. If you don't have if you don't have two, marketing and public relations, it's marketing. The only people who can talk about the incident to anyone outside is marketing. Do not talk about what's happening to anyone outside. This is all highly confidential. I would go so far to say don't tell your significant other. Just say one of those things at work that's going to take me all the time is happening. You grab your go bag and your sleeping bag and your pillow and you go back to work. So A lot of people have influence on drafting and approval. The only releasers are public relations or marketing. Is that clear? Any questions? Okay. When you're executing the computer incident response plan, there is a reviewing senior executive. Before the talk, we were doing an AMA. I'm glad we have so much time. And someone said, should C-levels be there? Yes. There should be a C-level who is watching and aware of the entire process. Unless you're the CISO, that C-level is not going to be highly involved. They want to know what's happening, but this is not their wheelhouse. This is not what they're good at, but they need to know what's happening. They can make advice. They have credit cards with big limits. If you need to put people up in a hotel right across the street, put them up. Say we need people here on site, but the floor is so hard. Can we please get rooms at the hotel? And maybe you have shifts. People are going over there, sleeping during the day, coming at night. They have food. You can get credit cards for food. Cut back on the alcohol until the meeting's over, until the incident is managed. You want people focused. Anyway, incident commander. Again, if there's no one there better than you at this, that's you. You've got the incident manager coordinator, technical actions coordinator, and supporting actions coordinator. They're responsible for turnover, task management, facilitation of the SERP, the scribe, and post-incident tasks. That doesn't mean they're going to do them unless they don't have the staff. If they have the staff, these are the people who are going to have some of those hats. Look at the description of these things. It might be technical people. It might not be technical people. It might be marketing. It might be implementation. It might be customer support. It might be a developer. They're probably going to be a security champion. They're going to be interested in security things. You want to encourage that. Technical action, containment, eradication, recovery. That's usually going to be us and our peers and people at your organization. And it might be a third party you hire to come help. Supporting actions, external reporting, communications, evidence management, liaison with police, and legal oversight. Although I'm saying liaison with police is in supporting actions, I kind of want to keep that myself. You should have the phone number for the local FBI organization, the person who is in charge of hackers and miscreant behavior. You want to have a relationship, so no matter where you go in your career, you know how to reach them, and they know where you are, and they know what you do, and you know what your organization does, and who might be targeting them. You know, look at the MITRE attack framework and see who might be going after you. Maybe the FBI wants to know about that. So get the local, find out who in the local police is responsible for hacking information or hacking activities. Get their information, get the local FBI, and then take care of that relationship and don't let someone else screw it up. And don't let someone else poo-poo it and downplay it. When it comes to police and incident management, when you contact the police, if there's been criminal activity from anyone, could be from Russia, could be from a coworker, could be from someone in their mom's basement in Virginia. If it's criminal activity, the police do not have the same goal that you do. What's the goal the police have when they know there's a criminal? Catch the criminal. What's your goal when you've been breached? Get back up and running. Those two might be in conflict. They might want to gather your evidence and make it not available for chain of custody. Makes it very hard to eradicate when you don't have the machines that were infected. So, talk to the police when you think you've got it all taken care of, or maybe you have it all taken care of. Then get all your evidence that you collected, make a copy, get the hashes, give them the copies, and let them go catch the criminal. Incident notification. This is not the declaration. This is just the notification. This is the email I send when I have indicators of compromise that are sufficient to think we have an incident. Now, right there, I'm saying a lot. You see things all the time at your job that are weird. Every time you see one, if you're anything like me, you say, is this something? Or is it a misunderstanding? Is it a stupid process? Is this a bug? Is this a flaw in the code? Or is something really happening? So, if you think something might be happening, but you don't know it's an incident yet, and let me make clear, you don't know it's an incident. So this is going to tell you kind of where this email comes in relation to the big one. This is the one that says something has caught my eye and it seems credible. So if you had the hat mothballed under your desk, just take it out and put it on top of the desk. You might be able to put it back under the desk soon, but get it out. You understand what I'm saying? You have the parties listed below are investigating possible data compromise, the date and time, incident coordinator, person of contact, approving manager, source of detection or notification. The data is compromised, best you can guess. Compromised characteristics. What does it look like? What do you see? What makes you think it's something? What data has been encrypted? What is the technical impact if this is a thing? What would be the business impact if this was a thing? The next steps you're going to take to identify, is it really an incident? Confirmation or denial of compromise. Is data out or not? Any obstacles? Let's say there was a gas leak at the data center and we can't get in. There's an obstacle. And then next update and means. What you might need to get going. If you don't have it already, now's the time you might want to contact a third-party incident response team. You might want to find out what they charge. You might want to go buy all the hard drives you think you might need to do backups and to do gathering. You might want to get all the cables. You might want crossover cables. You might want to get VMware licenses. You might want to go buy quick go bags for everyone that you don't already have with flashlights and notepads and cheap digital cameras and gloves and hats because data centers are cold. So this is the prime the pump email. If that makes sense? You don't want to send this email too many times. You really want to know, we're looking at something that is really catching my attention and making me worried. So all the daily fires that come up you have to put out, that's not this email. This email could become wolf. So make sure you have all of the things filled out really well. What would be the business impact if this was a thing? What are the next steps? What are the characteristics of the compromise? Why do you think it's a thing? Not just it feels like it, but why? What's the evidence that it might be a thing? And that email will get everyone, it will prime the pump, get them thinking about it, and they're looking for that second email that says, yes, we are an incident. We are in an incident. Get your hats on, drop everything else. It's hitting the fan. That goes to the exact same team. Goes to everyone who needs to know the pump is being primed. So in your technical analysis that you put in that first email, you need to be able to answer these questions. What's been affected? What data has been compromised? What level of privilege did the attacker gain? How did they get access? What was exploited? How widespread is the vulnerability within the organization? Were we able to detect it? Or did a third party tell us? And what component of the information security infrastructure failed to prevent or detect this attack? That's the one you talk about in the postmortem. Still here, you are not pointing fingers. You're not saying this person screwed up, this person clicked the link. No, your system allowed the link to get to their email. That's what happened. It's not the people. Don't look at the people like they're the problem. Business impact analysis is the other bullet point. How is public safety affected? How many customers might be affected by the incident? What products or services does this compromise affect? Has the organization lost the ability to control or record or measure or track any amount of inventory, products, cash, or revenue? This one is huge. Are we losing money? Are we losing data? Are we on paste bin? Are our customers on paste bin? Is there any indication that this act would be exploited for malicious or criminal activity? So, could this be negligence, or is it malicious? And who currently knows about the incident inside and outside? If it's a third party that told you, if it was Krebs, Krebs knows, and everyone who reads his blog knows. Now, before that email goes out, is something happening? The IOCs. Oh, someone's clapping? Oh, 10 minutes. Okay. No. Where do you find your IOCs? From help desk. People go to help desk when something's going weird. Help desk will start to learn eventually when they bring things to you and you say, that's not a thing, but thanks for telling me. Or, holy cow, that's a thing, let's go talk to them. They'll start to learn that pattern, and they'll stop coming to you, the ones that aren't a thing. Don't discourage them. Keep them coming, because they are the first people who find out something's happening, especially if CrowdStrike's not catching it. Law enforcement, they might tell you. A customer might complain. You might have someone saying, I've got to tell you about something I found online. Or the NOC, or the SOC. Users reporting funny behavior. Again, that goes to the help desk, or they might Slack you. Or threat hunting. If you didn't hear Grifter's talk yesterday on threat hunting, I'm so sorry, but you missed out on a free SANS course. That talk was one of the best 3 I've heard in all my life, going to all the cons I've been to. So when they're on YouTube, if you didn't see it, go watch Grifter's talk on threat hunting. It was mind-blowing. I thought I knew about threat hunting, and I know nothing about threat hunting after seeing his talk. And in 2 weeks, I'm going to be a master of threat hunting because of that talk. It was fantastic. Threat hunting is the best way to know you have an incident without anyone else finding out. Be very quiet and look at the weird things and look over time, get all the logs, get all the PCAPs. Watch Grifter's talk. He told me about an incident, maybe it was in the talk, but I talked to him at length afterwards. He talked about there's one organization he went in and started doing some threat hunting, and they found 4 incidents, and there was a 5th one that was found by a third party. But they found 4 that had been going on for quite a while through threat hunting, and no one was the wiser. Threat hunting. Woo-hoo. But when you look at the NOC and the SOC and the threat hunting, anyone else facing a problem with staff? I don't have a NOC, I don't have a SOC, and I don't have anyone else doing threat hunting. So I have job security. So, now you got to figure out, is this really an incident we're talking about? What's the threshold for an incident? And this is important for legal. All of my DPAs and my sales orders, my SOs, say that we will let you know, I will let customers know if we have an incident that affects their data within 24 hours of a confirmed incident. And there's the catch. I'm saying it's a confirmed incident. So what constitutes an incident? For my organizations, if any data is not being controlled by us, that's an incident. Or if I see the same bit of malware on 6 different devices within 24 hours, that's an incident. Now, I might have one type of malware on one device and another type of malware on another device. That's not quite an incident that I need to go tell my customers about. I have my work to do. It might be an incident. It's going to be priority 2. So I need to do the work, but I'm not going to tell the customers. When it's priority 1, you're telling customers. So, PCI says you have an incident if you have full magnetic stripe data or primary account number, and VISA says compromised deliberate electronic attacks on the communications or information processing systems, whether initiated by a disgruntled employee, a malicious competitor, or misguided attacker or hacker, intrusion into computer system where unauthorized disclosure, modification, or destruction of cardholder data is suspected. This is for PCI. If you are PCI beholden, yes, you need, this is what defines an incident for you. Fortunately, for the last 2 organizations I've been to, we third-partied all of our card processing, so that's not my marching orders. So I can say, if data is out there, yes, it's a priority 1. But if it's just 1 machine going sideways, or 2 machines going sideways, or 5 machines going sideways, I don't have to tell customers because my lawyers say I don't have to. This sounds like like chicken scratch, but this is saving your customer relations. And the way you could do it is by putting it on paper. Put it in policies and say what an incident is. My incident response plan has this, or not this, it says any data or 6 instances of malware within 24 hours, the same malware. That's a priority 1 that I have to tell customers. Do that. Save yourself some legal homework. Oh, look, I did more slides about this. PI data breach or malware outbreak. This is I copied and pasted from my policy. A malware outbreak is defined as 6 or more malware incidents occurring in a 24-hour period involving the same malware. So that's, do I have to tell customers or not? If it's not that, I'm not telling customers. Might be an incident, but I'm not telling customers. And let's be honest, if you have malware on 2 machines, you got an incident. Okay, now we're at the beginning. We have no IOCs. We just got home from SAINTCON, and we're at the beginning. So, now we prepare. From what we've talked about so far, do you get an idea of how you need to prepare? You need to understand business impact analysis, technical impact analysis. You need to know your physical inventory, your software inventory, log aggregation, IDS or IEPS, identity management, computer incident response plan, meet and train members of the SERP and leadership, policies. You train the staff on secure practices. You need good application security. You need good physical security. You need good network security. You need good vulnerability management. Sharpen your axe. Come to SAINTCON. Go to Black Hat. Go to RSA. Go to DEF CON. Go to, if they're still holding them, go to Utah Sec meetings. Sharpen your axe. Get training. Get certified. Get better at your job. Incorporate lessons learned into the SERP. Anytime you have any kind of an incident, what allowed the incident to happen? Put that back into your security posture. Fix that hole. Hire and retrain the staff or identify the vendors for an incident response. Find out who you're going to call. If you have an incident, you need them to come help you. And then threat hunt. Again, go watch Grifters talk. Learn how to do good threat hunting. This, I don't know if you've seen this before, but this is the incident management lifecycle. Preparation is where you are today. Prepare, 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 prepare. Then you might identify something. Then you declare you have a real incident and you go to containment. And you might go back to identification. And you might go down to containment and go back to identification. Then you go to containment and eradication. You think you're getting a handle on it. Turns out you don't. You have to go back to identification, back to containment, back down to eradication. Then you're going to recovery. Turns out you didn't get it all the way. You go back to identification, you go to containment, you go to eradication, recovery, and then you do lessons learned, and then you go back to preparation. The first 2 boxes, that is your job every single day. Am I right? Preparation and identification. Preparation and identification. Preparation and identification. Any questions? We got 3 minutes, I think. Was it good seeing it backwards? When I was thinking about it, I was like, oh, that'd be really cool to see a good process so you can see what you have to do to have that good process. That's the tenet thing. Go ahead. Yeah. Well, it is completely third-partied, and so if they have a breach and they let us know, I can pass it straight through to my customers and say, it's them. And any concerns, I'll say, it's them, and here's their contact information for their incident commander or coordinator. Talk to them. Yes, usually in the DPAs, you'll see you have to notify them of anything that affects them. That if they're a sub controller, so you say yes, this third party is having a problem. There's their contact information. It's not us. If there's anything we can do to help you, let me know. And it might be they say, can you help us? Can you tell us what's going on for security? Because we don't have a security guy and you know what you're talking about. Might be that. Question? Oh, for anyone who didn't hear that, he was asking about third-party credit card processing. If they get popped, what do you have to do? You couldn't get that from the answer. Any other questions? Really? That is so hard to say. How long does it take you to contain it? How long does it take you to recover? How bad is it? Is it ransomware? Can you decrypt it? Can you just wipe it and restore from backups? Well, what if you didn't fix the hole and they re-encrypt everything? You're not done. You got to find how they got in, stop them, contain it. So it's hard to say what an average time is. You need to track that as part of your metrics. You talk about in your post-mortem, and you talk about it so everyone knows it took us this long to do this incident. It took us this long to get to this point, this long to get that point, this long to get that point, and you try to get better and faster. So I'm sorry I don't have a really good answer for what the average time would be. There's no average incident. Yes. DDoS attacks can now be mitigated through like a WAF, Cloudflare, Akamai, Imperva, Google, Armor. In addition to watching all the traffic, they're able to distribute your application around the different nodes, and that is the best way to stop DDoS. They might, like Cloudflare will do things with black holing your old IP, giving you a new IP really quickly and propagating out DNS. Another question? Go ahead. Yeah. Well, your outside legal counsel isn't security trained. They're still going to need your help. And you need them. If they are the legal counsel for your organization, they are the legal counsel. They need to be involved. They're going to be part of writing the language in the contracts, in the DPA, in the SO. Every attorney I've talked to, when they say, when are you going to notify them? I say, we'll notify if it's a confirmed breach involving their data. And they put that in the contracts. And they say, well, what is a confirmed breach? And I said, oh, loss of control of any data or 6 malware incidents within 24 hours, 6 of the same malware within 24 hours. Oh, okay, that's defined, great. And then the attorney is there to make sure that you're safe. The organization is safe. So involve them. Any other questions? Advice on getting your arms around asset management. It's universal, especially today with shipping devices around the world. Okay, for Apple, again, my last two jobs have been almost all Apple. I use Jamf, and I buy my devices from third-party sellers that can put the Jamf number in the sale. So when they open a device, it enrolls immediately into my MDM policies. And one of those is, who are you? Where are you? Who do you belong to? So I can then have a database of all my Mac users. With PC, I used Intune, and now I'm using another vendor, Better Cloud, and they have a better solution than Intune that does the same thing for PC, but it's not as transparent as buy it from Apple and it's already installed. So I get the PC, I install it, then I ship it, and that tracks all those devices. I can go to the IT manager and they can tell me about all their devices. The problem is when marketing stands like up a new domain and you don't know about it. So you've really got to be on top of all the things. It's hard, and it is really the primary object of our job. Another question? Yeah. The IR analysts should be, they are now one of the IOCs. They see the things, and if they see there is an incident, they should let you know. Yesterday we had 2 incidents. We fixed them both. We had 2 events, I should say. We had 2 events, and we localized it, and we contained it, and eradicated it, and fixed it, and it was good. That should be reported in a ticketing system or something where you can go back and see how many times did that happen. That might be indicative of a larger problem, that you're so close to the trees you can't see the forest. Yeah, the lines between your information security analysts and your incident response analysts are blurred. Sometimes they're one and the same, and if you can separate them, it's still going to be blurry. I think it is what it is. It's going to be blurry. Sorry I'm not more helpful, but you want to have that interaction because they see the IOCs. Go ahead. You need a SAST, you need a DAST, and you need something to look at the APIs. APIs are the soft underbelly of all applications, and a lot of people think if there's no UI, it can't be hacked. And that is so not true. If it talks to the internet, it can be hacked. And APIs do nothing but connect. They gather data, and they process and spit it back out. And people think, oh, you can't see it, you can't hack that. Oh my gosh. APIs are the door into the database. So there are tools that I've been looking at. I'm standing up AppSec at my organization, and there's one that I really, really like. It's Salt Security, and that does a sidecar thing in Kubernetes and watches all the APIs that are both documented and the ones that aren't documented, where the developer's just trying to get something to work. And I tell you, when the developers are doing something just to get it to work, they didn't secure it. Does that answer your question? Local admin. Yep, and they want local admin. You need to have your good endpoint detection. You need your good IDS or IPS. You need user analytics. You need secure access, because we will not solve the problem of them having local admin. They will have it. The security is there. Okay, maybe you've heard me speak before. Why do you put brakes on a car? You put brakes on a car not so you can stop. You put brakes on a car so you can go faster. If you don't have good brakes, you are not comfortable going faster. Now, if I'm going to secure a car, I could encase the tires in concrete and chain them to a metal plate under the ground. Is the car functional as a car? No. So the developers need local admin to do their jobs. I can't take that away and be so draconian to secure it, because they're going to complain endlessly that I'm making their jobs hard. I cannot make their jobs hard, but I can't have them be more of a whole. So I need to have more things in control on their device, more things watching, and more things preventing. EDR, like I was saying earlier, CrowdStrike is a response. If you can get something on there to stop it from happening in the first place, that's better. And if you can have greater security at the device, let the developers develop. And they'll thank you for letting them do their job and not being the problem security that they have to deal with every other place they've been to. There is so often an adversarial relationship between security and everyone. We need to fix this. Your job is not to make it harder at the expense of the company being able to make money. You need to help the company be more secure doing what it does. Let it do it and help it do it securely. Don't stop it from doing what it does, or you are not an asset to the organization. You are a problem, and you are checking a box. They know they have to have a security guy hired, but they hate the security guys they've hired. Don't be the thing they hate. Another question? Yeah. So, I don't know if you heard, but he puts the developers on their own Wild West domain. They can do anything. It's like a little kiddie pool. They can play around in that. Yeah, kiddie pool. Don't drink the water. Any other questions? Another one. Yep. Yep. I've had that happen. And I've said, I am so sorry, but I'm going to overnight a laptop to them. But I have shut that one off. It can't connect to the internet. It is useless to them. They're going to ship it back to me, and I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to work on it. I'm going to try to save all the data they had. I'll try to give it back to them, but they're going to have a new computer. It'll take a day. So, sorry, but we're going to pay them for a one-day vacation. Local? Come on in. Come on in. I got a laptop for you. You give me your old one, I'll give you a new one that's not infected. You're very welcome. So someone somewhere has accepted that risk, and that's when you go back to legal. And you say, I recommend that they use our image devices with our security tools because they're looking at our data. If they don't want to do that, I want whoever owns that outsourced process, that they're going to be responsible if something happens to those machines and that data through those machines. They're responsible for that, not me. Put that in writing, have legal present it to the person who owns it, and you're probably going to start imaging their machines because they don't want to own that. But you're saying, yes, you own this. And when you do that, again, you're playing hardball. You're saying, I need to have my borders. I need to secure what I can secure, and I can't let that be a hole you can punch through my defenses. Again, don't hinder the ability for the company to make money and to do what it does. If they can argue that they can't do their job because of CrowdStrike, find another vendor because that's not true. Or they say, I don't want to have your stuff on my machine, it slows it down. Say, okay, get a new machine. You want to work with our data? You're going to have our software on it. Because we can't let you have that, you can't look at that data without being secured. And get the lawyers to do it. Protect yourself, make them responsible, and they'll fix it. Another question? We are so over on time, but there's nothing coming after this. Okay. Oh, in the very back. Yes, the slides are on schedule, on Sked. I've posted them already. Also, I posted the 2 slide decks, one for the briefings and one for decisions. And there's more notes in those slide decks so you can see more of what I'm talking about. This, I think it's going to be on YouTube. No, on SAINTCON. And that's where I think you'll find Grifters Talk. Go find Grifters Talk. It was amazeballs. All right. Thank you.